Hello and welcome to another Game Maker guide. We're going to be working again with our ship game here, and this time let me show you what we added: power-ups. Because what's a shooter without power-ups? So as you can see, I got that. Now my gun shoots much faster. I get another power-up, and I get the triple shot here, which shoots slowly, but I get it again, and the triple shot shoots very quickly now, and I can kill everyone very easily. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's minimize this and go back into our previous game. First thing we're going to want to do is add the power-up sprite. So we'll click on the Add Sprite button. We'll name that SP Power-Up, and then we will load the sprite that I have pre-made. This sprite is a little bit different, and I'll show you why. If you go into the Edit Sprite, I actually have 6 different images, image 0 through image 5. And you can see in the preview here, it looks like it's pulsing. It makes it much more interesting to look at instead of just a static image that's falling down at you. And basically, the program will automatically cycle through all these images and then go back to the first image. And so there's just a slight change every single time. In fact, if I click on here, I'll zoom in and make it a little more clear. You can use this green button to go back and forth from one image to another inside your sprite. So if I click this arrow, you can see there are slight changes that bring it from red up through orange to yellow and then back down to red again. And so when that cycles through, it goes back down to 0 and it creates this little pulsing type image. So that's a really simple way to create an animation for your image, make it move a little bit, give it a little bit more character. So we have our power-up image. Now we'll create our sprite. Now we'll create our power-up object. Object power-up. We will borrow the enemy bullet creation code because it does what we want it to do. It picks a direction, goes down, moves in a speed of 4. We'll change that speed to 2 so the power-ups are a little bit easier to grab, and they're just different than the bullets. And now we want the power-up to, let's change, make sure that it has a sprite. We want the power-up to actually interact with our ship object. And to do that, we'll actually need to do quite a bit of coding here in the ship object. First of all, we need to actually have the ship be able to tell how much power it has. So we will create a power. No, we will say my power. Now, the reason that I did that is because when I typed in power, it's hard to see here, but if you're doing this at home, you can probably see easier. It actually makes the text a dark red color. That means that power is already a function inside of GameMaker, and we want to try and avoid that because that can cause problems in our code. So I simply put a my underscore power, and that's still black, so that's our variable, and that's what we want here. And that will equal 1 for right now. We'll say OK. So now if our object ship collides with our object power up, then we will go to the control tab and bring over a new block of code, and we will make our my power variable plus equals 1. So that adds 1 to our my power. And then we want to instance deactivate object the other object, because again we're colliding with our object power up, so that will just destroy the object power up. So our power increases by 1, the object power up goes away. But right now our power doesn't actually do anything. So we want to go into the space event, space bar event, and here we'll put in another if statement. If power is equal to 1, then in curly brackets we are now shooting. So now this shoot, all this shoot script here only works if our power is 1. And I'm going to move that a little bit just so it's easier to see what we actually have here, the structure of our script. So if power equals 1, then your shoot actually goes. And what we want to do here is put in an else if statement. We've dealt with else in the if then else video that I created. You can check that out. But here we want else if. So now it's saying if power is 1, then you do this. If power is not 1, which is else, then you check to see if power is 2. So now if power is 2, we want to change this so that we shoot faster. So we're going to change the initial shoot time to 30. So that means that it will wait 30 steps before we can shoot again. So the higher the number, the slower the firing rate. So now when we have a power of 2, we will shoot 3 times faster. We'll still shoot 1 bullet. And that's good. That's what we want here. So let's go into the Z key, because the Z key is where we have our triple shot saved. So we will copy all of this script right here, code, and we will go back into our space event, and then we will paste it in here. I actually should have done this in a different way. We're going to copy our else if, paste that here, then we're going to take the code that we just pasted in, and we're going to replace what's inside of the else if. We're going to replace this single shot and control V so that it is the triple shot. And again, I'm going to move all of this so that it is easier to see what's actually going on here, and change our power to 3. We'll also change our speed so that it's up to 30 again, and then we will copy all of this else if, paste it in, change this to 4, change our speed to 10. So take a look back at what we have here. If our power equals 1, then if our shoot equals 0, we will shoot 1 object bullet. Shoot time will be 30. So it'll take 30 frames before we can shoot again. If our our power is not 1, else if our power is 2, then again if shoot, we will shoot with a slower faster reload time. Every 10 frames we'll be able to shoot, so we'll be able to shoot 3 times faster. Else if our power is 3, we'll shoot 3 bullets and we'll shoot every 30 frames. Else if our power is 4, then we will shoot every 10 frames. 3 bullets every 10 frames. Now in this situation we could still get more power-ups beyond level 4, so instead of else power equals 4, we'll just say if the power is above 3, so that if it's 4, 5, 6, whatever, we'll still be able to shoot this same way. So we'll say OK here, and now we are interacting with our power-up. That'll increase our power, and we'll be able to shoot better. But our power-ups don't actually exist yet. They're not being spawned at all. So if we go into our object bullet, when our object bullet interacts with the enemy and destroys it, we'll want to go in here and create the object. Oop, I spelled that wrong. Something is not... What's the problem here? Instance create. That's a silly mistake to make. Instance create, and here, because we are in the collision event with our object enemy, we want to create the power-up on top of the enemy, not the bullet, when the enemy is destroyed. So we're going to say other.x and comma, and then other.y, comma, and then the actual object that we are creating, which is object power-up, close bracket, semicolon. So now when the object bullet hits the object enemy, it will destroy itself, destroy the enemy, and it will create an object power-up at the other's coordinates, which is the object enemy. So we'll say OK there, and we'll play. We'll see what we have. So our enemy is firing at us like we did last time, and now, oh, there we go, there's an error. Okay, this is a good time to illustrate the error. This is my mistake. So this gives us an error message and tells us what the error is. It tells us that it is in the keyboard event for the space key in our ship object, and the error is at line 4, and it shows us where the error is. It says power equals 1, and it says it doesn't know what power actually is. And that's because I forgot to put the my in front of power. So we'll go back into our object ship, into the space event. We can go in here and see that power is the problem. We need to say my underscore power. And this will happen quite a lot. You get little errors like this you gotta fix, little mistakes that you made there. I've made a couple this video, which I will definitely leave in because these mistakes happen all the time, and it's good to know how to deal with them. So now I can shoot, and you see I shoot very slowly. It's somewhat difficult to actually hit a ship like this, but there I hit one, and a power-up's coming down. So now I'll try and get this power-up, and now I shoot much, much more quickly. If I get another power-up, now I shoot 3 shots, and the last power-up makes me shoot 3 shots very quickly. So now we have power-ups added to the game. We have a ship that moves around, we have enemies that can fire at us, and we have power-ups. So we're getting a real decent game going here, very simply.